and gentlemen, would you help me welcome Tanya?
Is using strategic systems to help change the way we learn and grow, whether that be on the individual level, in the education space, or in the corporate world. A little point about me, I guess, and what I've learned and why I so enjoy being in talent management is sort of trying to come up with new ways to, as you said, revolutionize or help companies bring together their culture or their communication. I have worked mostly, besides Carnegie Mellon, I've worked mostly in the startups, the software startups. And in Austin, Texas, you know, the software startups are a little different than most software companies around the world. I mean, Silicon Valley, Seattle, and Boston's got a few as well. But culture is very much the most important thing. I mean, you can't have successful companies without successful employees. That can be defined or that problem can be solved in many different ways. But I think what the most consistent concepts that we've come to know are, you know, the right type of onboarding, the formal and informal, you know, training programs, open and honest communication in the company, and, you know, also building that culture of trust. And we need to allow everybody to become an educator as well as a learner. Everybody is, you know, able to teach something. That is kind of the behind concept for Trails. Trails can also, in talent management altogether, Trails, not only for training and development, can work in the HR space. It also can work for the marketing departments because of the way it communicates press releases or customer successes. It can do new product development where it can educate the employees on new product development, new versions coming out, what have you. So it's also something that can touch your employees on multiple levels, not just the training department or training development and HR onboarding. So I was going to introduce my team members, but we already know them. And what I thought we'd do is do the presentation part. I think it'll probably be about 20 minutes or so. And then I'd like to do some question and answer, get some feedback for you, get a little better understanding as to where you are in your training development programs, as well as we've set up over there, but we do have a live demo. So Tyler will help with the live demo. We'll probably do that very casually when you come over and he can sort of walk you through it, see it, and then ask more technical questions or sort of understand. So this will be more of a basic behind the scenes with Trails and what it does, and then we'll go into that afterwards. All right, so what we'll talk about is what isn't working, Trails for training, what the heck are Trails and requests, and what can Trails for training do for your organization. All right, so what isn't working? These are some of these challenges by lots of research, reading books. Like I have a lot of them, doing a lot of reading. I know you probably are familiar with Tony Bingham's book that I recently got, which is awesome. There's some more experts in here than myself, so I'm going to be quoting from there. But lots of research, as well as attending lots of conferences, having face-to-face meetings myself personally with CLOs and lots of learning and development programs, which is why and how we came up with the top 4 challenges that we're going to go over and cover today. The first one, employees are not engaged and do not buy into the training programs. Do we find that might be an issue that we're challenge facing sometimes?
We were just talking about that.
Okay, good. Well, we looked at a large survey that about 52 business executives, and they found out that 37% of U.S. business executives say that current training programs do not help innovation amongst employees or motivate them to be innovative. So one of those quotes that I was going to bring sort of has a little bit of relevance from the book here is Ellen Wagner, who is the learning industry analyst from Sage Road Solutions. And she says, today we assess personal mastery of knowledge and skills with how well people can leverage their interconnected networks, connections to resources, information, and subject matter specialists. Workplace success has shifted from the individual accomplishments to teams, communities of practice, and collaboration. And all of those things is exactly what Trails does. It enables all of that. Challenge 2, can easily become, documents, materials can become out of date rather quickly. As challenge 2, training departments, if there's any type of budget cut, can be some of the first to get reduced, and then someone who had department information may not be there anymore and you can't access it. Dave Fox, another very good book that I just read as well. Number 3, required information is not indexed in a central searchable location. This is kind of a long quote, but basically there's lots of data out there that supports the cost for how much employees are spending on information that A isn't there or they just can't find it. Basically saying is that after the study that they did, each employee wastes about $3,000 per year looking for information and not being able to find what they're looking for to learn. Because if they spent that amount of time they spent looking for that information and they were being productive, they would each bring in $15,000 of revenue for the company. We all know it can be expensive and complicated to implement. I kind of picked on SharePoint 2013 a little bit. It brought to my attention that kind of a social aspect. And I know, so, someone asked me if I said I should compare the two, so I kind of got some data on why SharePoint isn't our favorite. Category of solutions, you do find that there are large, complex multi-server solutions, such as SharePoint, Moodle, your LMSs. There's simple hosted software as a service solutions like Trails. The complicated part when it comes to getting these large solutions is building that bridge with your IT leadership and deciding where to put those resources. We found that in talking to most people, they are not happy with their SharePoint or their LMS. Yeah, training is a social learning model. Does the training built with viral sharing knowledge? It has formal and informal training modules. Has a socialness to it. It's focused, accesses on question and answers, and that can be company-wide, which I mentioned in the beginning, allows everybody to be an educator and everybody to be a learner. All right, what the heck are trails and requests? Okay, so you're looking at a trail map. And so a trail, essentially a trail is you're building, these circles are what we refer to as nodes. Why don't you do the pointer? What we call nodes, and the circle represents each piece of content in your trail. And so you can use it as there's branches, you've got segments, these can be color coordinated, depending on your teaching style, however you're doing your training. Also trails can just be a straight line. See that we pointed out that the first one's a video of Erin. She has recorded herself start off this trail. There's a PowerPoint slide here, and in this whole branch and segment is based on different websites, PowerPoints, any type of content can be uploaded into a trail. And I think that the cool thing is when you have people do research, or when you're looking at, I don't know how many people do training through the web, or it's more just documentation materials and hard copies, but when you're doing your training through the web, or you're asking your folks to maybe do some research or preparing for that training class, there's so much data on the internet. You click on one website, next thing you know, an hour's gone by and you have not done anything you were supposed to prepare for that class, or you're off on a tangent somewhere. But the thing about Trails, and what you'll see when you see the demo class, think that when you're in Trails, in your corporate Trails, you can click on one of those nodes, can be AST.org, and you can go to it, and you can go to every single page to the AST website, but it'll never take you out of your trail. So you never get thrown out of it. It's all encompassed. You can go to the next. It might be a YouTube video. You can watch 100 YouTube videos, but then when you go to click in the next node, you're still in your trail. So it keeps everything all together. It doesn't get you sort of sent off into the internet. What it's showing is a trail that has segments, and it's a trail that's color coordinated, and it's also got what we call, it has a note. So each node can have its own note. And note can be for why I want you to look at this page, or why I want you to read this document. Be for citing the reference that it came from. A note could also be how to use that note or go to that site. Requests. Requests are basically questions. So anybody can go in and do a request. You put a question that says, here you see, we've got employee wellness ideas. Somebody's asked Kathy, who's new to customer relations, what does your job entail? Then when we'll be able to download documents directly from the trail. And then what happens is every request has a creator or owner, gives you the date, and then once trails have been built to answer those questions, it shows you how many trails for that question or request. To do that is we do it by tags. So anyway, so that will help when you tag the request, it then goes to the right people who have the relevant content information. And then they can go in and it alerts them, they can go in and build trails. And then once that trail has been built, it notifies the person who built the request, who created the request, and then they can go in and view the trail and go ahead and get the answer for that specific question. So what can Trails do for your organization? It's a centralized searchable hub. It is all encompassing, like I said, from websites to everything. You can access your SharePoint. You currently have SharePoint. You can access your LMS pages because it's from websites that you bring into your trail. Those are searchable and they're organized, but this is searchable by the data, the interests, the actual questions, what specific content you're actually looking for. So you have to go through this file and say, okay, here's all these different file names. I might find the one that's on, employee wellness. And here you just type in your tags, and all the trails requests will pop up there relevant to that. But to bring back the tags, you could put in, so you put in the question, what is the HR policy for my expenses when I travel? What's the travel policy in my company? And you could put in travel, reimbursement, procedures, forms, documents into the actual request. And that's how the people that are part of that community or part of those communities will get notified questions about the travel policy, and HR can go in and build that actual trail to answer that question. It builds a culture of engaged viral knowledge sharing. Viral knowledge sharing, what is that? In this book, again, they cited Deloitte, a lot of citing about Deloitte issues when it came to internal training and engaging their employees. And and I think I like this, the way that they went on with the Deloitte information, because Deloitte isn't a technical company. So it was, quite a challenge to go in, and what they call their product is D-Street. So in this quote is from Patricia Romeo. It says, by enabling connections among employees, organizations can more easily offer customized work arrangements, establish virtual teams, bring new employees up to speed quickly, improve collaboration, and increase retention with people who hadn't felt a strong sense of belonging in the past. So, viral knowledge. This basically, and I've said it before, it allows anybody to be an educator or learner. Anybody can teach anything because of the subscriptions and notifications. Who are you when you have that activity that's relevant to what you know? And then generally people will subscribe to their job function. But what it also does is it brings community or culture. So you can also have trails that are about informal things, not just actual training. I mean, they love to contribute to communities.
I've got a question on the subscription and the notification. So is it something that comes through their email, or do they have to be logged into, I guess, the portal in order to get those notifications?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're signing in, yes, you don't have to be logged in to get those now. It comes to your email.
Okay.
Be an actual sign in or have a user to then create the request. The other thing about this too is that there's lots of companies that we've talked to that have employees that are never going to actually go in and create requests or build trails or actually comment on the trails or interact. As long as they have access to your internal site, behind your firewall, then they can learn from anything that's out there. Have to sign in. So if you have a set of employees or certain types, that aren't going to do that or have access to that, they can still learn from everything that's out here, but they don't have to actually be pressured to going in and creating something or commenting or rating on something. Yeah.
Who creates a trail?
Anybody can create a trail. So so being in HR, I use onboarding because I have a little bit more experience. I'm not big in training development, but onboarding for me in particular. So, we all try to have our onboarding programs capture all the knowledge that we can. First of all, the handbooks are so big that you're not going to cover it all and they're not going to read it all. So you are going to miss things. Well, what happens is employees get through, and it might not be the first couple of days, but it could be the first couple of weeks, and they can create requests. And I'll bring up the travel policy again. What was the exact dollar amount that I can spend on my meals, my per diem? And so they'll create the requests, but they put in the tags, HR. They can put onboarding, they can put travel, they can put per diem, and then HR will get notified by email that there's a request that has been created that's specifically about this. So then they can either go in and just build another trail, or they can highlight from the trail an onboarding trail that was already there, or they can just do, you mentioned earlier, how many times do you get the same questions over again and same 30-second answer? You can, as Erin did when I showed you in the beginning of that trail, she just did a 30-second video from her computer. You can do it from your mobile phone and upload it. This is the policy. And then the next node is the actual documentation that describes the policy, but you can highlight, just the 2 sentences, what you really want them to get out of that whole section about it. So HR, whoever's the content owner. However, anybody can go in and join a community. It's all done by interest in communities. Anybody can go in and see what requests are out there, and if they want to, they can build a trail to answer it. Yeah.
So let's take on board.
Okay.
If you were joining my company, could I set up a trail for you that I'd like for you to follow?
Yes. By the hour of the first week, of each day for the first week, you have trails for before you start reading materials, all of your paperwork in there, and all the paperwork is downloadable right from the trail.
Good.
So that's why I said you can pull from your SharePoint if you have documents that you want to fill out or you just want them to read, you can download right from your trail. The employee can print them up, fill them out, and bring them on their first day. Yes, anything that you need to do. The other thing that I think people is because, especially with larger companies, hard. I know in the small, software world where I come from, on your onboarding in the first couple of days, you actually do end up having meetings with all of the C-levels and all the people, and you just walk around, you meet people, hey, what do you do? But in larger companies, you don't have that privilege. You're not going to meet too many folks in your direct contact of what you do for your job. And a CEO can come on and do a video of themselves welcoming that person, or just in general welcoming to the company. You can have other executives come in. You can have people that went through the onboarding process. I mean, if you do that, like if you have a university, you do once a month with all your new employees. You can have other people that have been through it, put little testimonials down, sort of kind of giving the new hire an idea of what it's going to be like in the first 30 days of working there. Makes them feel important and welcome, and that they sort of know, those people already, and then that way they can say, hey, great video, and they're not afraid to talk to people. So it really does build a sense of culture when it comes to, acceptance into, hey, we're starting, and they really are excited that we're here to work with them.
Where they follow a specific path without, they can go off on the little shoots of that path, but we don't want them to necessarily go off
Absolutely.
all over the place.
And
Yeah.
each person.
We get lost.
Yes, absolutely.
What else would benefits is the next button, that sequence in your trail.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, so you can create sequence, so you exactly know, and then that's why you have little notes too, so you can say, I put this website and this trail at this point because I really want you to understand the second paragraph down. You can be that specific to say, this is where, I really want you to focus on this website, or in this document, the first couple lines say it all, or I really need to remember you need to bring this in on the first day. It's very important. And we can't get anything started unless we have this on the first day, or something like that. So yes, you can definitely dictate where they go and then how it goes and what they have to do.
So it can be by task, or it could be by position.
Sure.
So let's say we had somebody come into our facilities department, and so the first part would be just kind of introduction of everybody and who all the faces are, and the next thing would be, okay, this is what you need to know about lockout, tag out, and that type of thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely. We talked to, recently we talked to a grocery company, and they're growing rather fast, and they, before they could go in and go back to the back administration office, which is right next door to one of the stores, and, meet everybody, but they're getting so big that they can't do that. So people that are, hey, I'm the person that you can come to if you have a question about your paycheck, and so they don't have to actually spend that time when they're starting. But also, she brought up a very good point, the woman that we talked to, was that you can do a video of someone using a cheese slicer. So you just video and you upload it, you have documentation on it, the safety requirements, you have the video as to what's really important, don't forget to do this. It can go into that type of stuff as well. The video use is huge. Training is going a little bit more into the video world, but also because it makes it more personal.
What do you use to record the videos? What system or
We've used
application?
we just use we all have Macs, and I think your PCs do the same thing. Whatever, have your camera on your.
Just click on.
Yep, just click on your camera and use it. iPhone, any of your Droids, do a little video of yourself, and then you can upload it. It's very simple. If you're on the spot, and that's another thing about the whole customer success thing, or if you have people that have started, or the CEOs. If the CEO is giving all of a sudden wants to get a C-level team together and has 30 seconds of just one thing they want, maybe a whole meeting, but there's one thing that really the whole company should know. Just that, they have somebody say, hey, just record this part real quick, and then they can go back and upload it, and then you can push it out to the entire company, and they got that message from the CEO. Everybody in their email will say, that Tana Lambert pushed out an email that everybody must go check out, and then you can do that with updated HR policies. So if you have a new policy, you can send it out. And I think I could touch on that a little bit, but you can send it out to the entire company so that everybody has to, knows that it's there and knows where they can go to get the new policy. So let's see. Greater the ability to share themselves both professionally and personally through profiles and content tools. The greater the potential of the community to foster connections that result in business outcomes. I don't have this actually as one part of my slides, but it makes me think of a point where I know a lot of people sort of say, making everybody a content creator can be a little scary for us. How do we know that it's going to be the right type of content? And all the research that we've done and the people that we've spoken to that do already some sort of social interaction with their employees, no brand on it. People are going to put the right content. Anybody that can become a teacher is going to feel engaged, and they're going to want to teach more. We built trails for training around So, you hear a lot when you talk about social portals or social learning systems that are inside the corporate world. The communities is pretty big, belonging to a community, sharing to a community. Community for us can be on interest, so it could be a community on marketing, it could be a community on a specific thing in training, HR. It could be also then the individual person or by role, as well as business units. So training would have its own login. The individuals in training can have their own login, but then training itself could have its own login. So that people would subscribe to the training community, and then everything the training puts out there as a trail or anything new, that person will get the email notification saying training has put a new video out there or whatnot. Communities are our companies, and we do evolve around that, but this gives us access to all the communities in the communities. So everybody is a subject matter expert. Trails, it also helps you capture that tribal knowledge that in your executives or your high-performing employees have in their heads that they don't ever share. There's a way for them to also say, get back in the sales meeting and they just had something happen in their sales meeting that was completely different, never happened before, but it was so successful. Upload it, take the video of it, discuss it, and push it out so everybody can understand and learn from it. So on the employee development side, you can put out there their job, and so people can strive to maybe go into new jobs or see those successes, but also if you've got people actually videoing their successes and talking about it, they're learning from people that probably would never get the chance to be their one-on-one mentor, but they can get mentored through the videos on Trails.
Will trails be set up to go to certain people before they're actually, for review, before they're actually published, in case somebody publishes false information? Not knowing what they're doing.
At the moment, we don't have it set up that way.
We do have it set up where it doesn't have to get published right away. So if you're editing it, if you're part of, like she said, a business unit can have its own. So if you're in HR training, the HR training login, the trail's created, it's just not published. So you can do that and have them review it. It's not set up where if you have individual employees creating content where you can review it before they put it out there. We do have a system internally where they can report for inappropriate information that gets reported to an administrator. But like Tina said, I certainly understand the concern, and some of the people that we've spoken with have said the same thing. But I actually had a conversation yesterday with Jean Meister, who's the author of 2020 Workplace, and she is a big proponent of social ecosystems within companies. And she said, I hear what you're saying, but what we have found in installing these applications in these different companies is that, like she said, when their professional reputation is on the line, because it's their picture, their title, it's not some random, avatar of, My Little Pony. It's in their face and their title and their name. People take that responsibility seriously, and they really, the quality of the information that they put out there is actually quite good and actually more, it's like she said, more relevant because they're actually on the line doing the job every single day. So totally understand the concern, and like the research has proven that, not proven, but indicates that is not a huge reality. So that answers your question. Sorry.
But again, and so also, Matt, I really mentioned this part, but Trails is a new product. To the point we're not going to be able to be completely customizable to all the people that want to use it. But there are some things that we can change and we can discuss and that we
Yeah, because I can think about how, you talked about SharePoint, and I use SharePoint in my organization, and I've kind of custom a certain portal to go in and comment on customer service moments that other employees have had that have been great, interactions. But at the same time, I've had to kind of put a firewall behind that because I know we've had some HIPAA issues, and they'll tell me everything, literally everything. And so, I get it first, and our committee gets it first. And so before it ever goes public to anybody else, and before the employee can ever bring it up themselves again, it gives us an opportunity to review it. And so I know that's a definite concern because I see that not only from our, entry-level employees, but sometimes I see that from, our educated physicians as well. And it's just, knowledge of HIPAA laws and privacy laws and what you can and can't share.
How much time does that take? You have to...
I probably dedicate maybe about 2 hours of it a month. It's not too much because we've done a pretty good job of educating as individuals and just kind of specifying what's good and what's not. So I have a ready template that I send back to them. Yes. And so beginning-wise, it took longer, but now it's pretty streamlined. 2 hours is pretty conservative.
Okay, yeah. Well, so I would think, when you're wanting them to put videos into the Trails now, when you're talking about really promoting the 30-second video, let's get out what's important, let's tell a story very quickly. The people that are going to tell the stories typically are a little more senior in the company. And it's up to you how you promote it and how you teach it, right? I mean, we could say, I mean, you have these, you can implement it in different ways where only, we call it super users. I mean, you could have just the management executives be the ones that actually have the user right, community admin right to go in and create things. You can also, we talked to them, the same retail co-op, they said, we never use the internet. We just have all paper and documents. Well, she doesn't have to use the internet. And that's only one way of getting content into the trail. You know, if that's something that's a little more, you know, bringing certain content into the internet's a little scary or what, we certainly don't have to allow for that. So I mean, we've got things that we can play that kind of, like I'm saying, can customize a little bit to how you kind of run your organization or the different types of content that you're currently using for your formal and informal training. The videos that are going to be longer than 30 seconds are going to be actual training classes, and those will already be compliant. We have Faceless Tom. Tom has been a long time. He has a lot of people underneath him, and he has a lot of expertise, but doesn't really have the time to, you know, go over all of that with him. So what he does is, he does videos. He puts his best practices up there. He makes that for all of his, like Faceless Jane, who is a new employee and needs to have a lot of that educating. But she's also not in corporate in San Antonio. She's in Houston, so she can't have access to him as much as she would like if she's in the department. The way to get new employees or any employees to ramp up when you have, like I mentioned, it's kind of that tribal knowledge that your executives and your star performers have in their head. It's a great way for them to get it out so that others can learn from it. You know, Q&A we've touched on, and that's the you know, big thing. One of the big appeals about it is that, you know, if everybody is getting educated, everybody's being a teacher. Every question can be answered. You can have a filter say that's not really a company question. You can allow not to be company data, you know, not personal data. Not personal, I guess I'm saying, like for onboarding, you could put in trails that are, where someone just moved to San Antonio, your headquarters, and they're on board, you can put in best restaurants around the office. People can, and it's another way to build the culture. You could say, if you're a large company, like we said, they're only probably going to be the people that are in their direct contact, that get their job done every day. But if you have out there like best hiking trail, someone creates a best hiking trail or mountain biking trail, people that are interested in the company can see who that person was and then maybe make that connection. And then they have now a new person that they know in the company. And the same thing with your skill specific or your job related or your CEO. All the interesting communities that you subscribe to, you can learn from them and make those connections. But you can also sort of build a culture when it comes around people that don't get to interact or meet each other as well. So again, it's kind of going over the whole way that the data gets out. So we've got Big Red over here. She puts in requests. She puts her tags in, whatever those tags may be, mountain biking, San Antonio, difficult, maybe we're rating it, she wants the difficult mountain biking trails. Then it goes down into the people that are in those communities that information. So we have here, they're all created a trail for that. They don't have to. They create the trail, it goes back up through email, notifies Big Red, and she can the trails and decide what's best. There is a rating. You can rank them thumbs up or thumbs down. You can make comments on them. So if you want to, if someone creates a trail, you can't edit their trail, but you can clone their trail and add on your saying, oh, and I also found these 2 places to go mountain biking that are also, you know, well, and then you can send that back out. Doing it this way kind of just, it does kind of deliver the higher quality content. I mean, because you have certain people that you know the relevant data for the tags is going to those content owners. Typically, the content is higher quality. It's around to what you need to learn. And it's very simple. It is creating is very easy. There's multiple ways to do it, which we're not going to get into today. Tyler can show on the demo. Look at the trails. Again, it looks different from that original trail I showed you because it's in the part of the editor. You really are just, the data will be in your content library, whether it be from a video or a document that you put into your content library or a website that you clicked on and put in there. Really just drag them in order. You just put sequence on them, you put the connectors. I mean, it's simple, it's intuitive, it takes seconds to build a trail. I mean, you have the content in your library, and it just takes seconds to build a trail. So, I touched on it before, I mean, you use it for doing formal training modules and informal. Formal training modules can be from the actual formal training classes to your job description, skill sets, policies and procedures. Where you can segment them, you can do color coding to go with your different training. And informal, like wellness tips, or what are the volunteer opportunities I have coming up over the holidays, or the mountain biking. I mean, it's all, that can be your informal training, just sort of someone's learning about that as well. Okay, so here we mentioned a little bit about the administrative tools. You've got an administrative dashboard, and that's where you can, if you needed to, you can ban or block or unblock a user. You can delete, the administrator can delete the trail. You feature your trail, like so if someone really has a phenomenal trail, or the CEO builds a trail that you want everybody to view, you can feature it. And like I mentioned, you can push to the entire company, so you can send out an email saying, there's a new company policy, we need everybody to take a look at this. You know, you could even put in a document that says everybody must download this, sign, and turn into HR by a certain date. So you could push out, the CEO could go in, like I said, and push out announcements that he wants to everybody, you know, him being an administrator. On the analytics side, when you have the requests and you have them attached to trails, you know, one thing that you find, because you get these questions all the time, even though you're like, I'm answering this question again, how often do you then say, I guess we're missing this part in our onboarding? Or I guess we missed that section in our training, because 12 people have asked me in the last week the same question. I mean, you just kind of sort of answer and go through the motions, you're like, okay. But actually, with the analytics side, because of how many multiple people can like that request or share that request, so that you know that 10 people have the same question. So you can sort of identify the gaps in training, in HR onboarding, tell you, you can look at and see who in your department is creating the most trails, creating the most requests, and then if you can feature them, you can comment on them. So it has a dashboard for the administrators, and then you have regular users that won't be administrators, and your super users are administrators. So it can be customized. So we have right now, and we'll show you, it's called, our demo is called Nuco. So what the website is nuco.trails.by. And it's .by BY because it's .by TANA, .by Human Resources. So it's by that person, that owner, that community who's building those trails. Now you have the opportunity, and you always will, to make it customizable. Your wording, your colors, your logos, your, you know, however you want to build it, we will customize it to be specific to your company. And again, some of the features, I mean, you may not want to use the web, so you know what, we can work around that. You may want to have more of a filter system. And there's still the development side, optimizing. I think it's the beauty queen of brains. Kind of scale. So here's what it looks like. The homepage for the Nuco demo. So these, your trails and your requests. And you saw what, we did some example requests earlier, but so the ones that have a logo are, these are kind of business unit communities. So you've got HR, you've got marketing, you've got training, informal trails. Actually, you put an image up, so you know they represent office supplies, Meals on Wheels, and then there's your request. So and then you have, see, the two with the stars are the ones that are featured. These are done by Newest. You can see all requests. Here you would have like my trails, my communities, my interests. You create a trail, create a request, and then you can explore. And it's all searchable. So then when you click onto it gives you a little description about it. You can see how many people have liked it. You can see if it's connected to it, what specific request it's connected to. And then what we'll show you, which you saw that first trail, how it comes together before you actually hit start to go through each node on the demo. Done it from here, but this is your homepage. And this can be filtered into, you know, if you want to do it by community, there can be some filtering done with this, but typically we do it just by Newest. The featured ones are always up there in this corner. This would be my right, your left. But yeah, so that's what it looks like, and that's what we'll go over in a minute. So that is, for the PowerPoint part, the presentation point, that's what I've got. I mean, that's kind of like the basics, got some terms and everything. And then, like I said, when I have time, I'll come up and we can come over and you guys can look at a demo. But I wanted to just sort of get a feel. I mean, first of all, what questions about this do we have that we have answered?
Do you have a way of attaching the notification system to something other than email, like instant messenger or something like that?
Well, so the notification system goes through email right now, and then it can be set up so that it would go to like you know how your email, the email will just pop up when you're viewing it. Well, on Trails, we can make it so that the notification will pop up if you're viewing the Trails website. Other than that, we have to know what chat system or what email system you're using.
It's definitely
chances are it wouldn't be a quick little thing to try and integrate outside website to try and push things into the instant messaging, because that's kind of a whole completely different system. So right off the bat, it would be either email, or if you're logged into Trails, you would get a little, like, you get a pop-up notification telling you to click on the thing to do it.
This is my thought about it. Mm-hmm. People already are overwhelmed, you know, and they just go in and hit delete. And why would they be more likely to go to this than just ignoring that. And I think if it came on a different system,
Sure.
they might want to access it more.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, and I'll just be honest about that. You know, we all have been using it. We use it for our training and our onboarding, but we all create multiple, as we're developing it, all of us here, I have 6 users that I use and I go in and do different things. And I do get all those notifications and I send them to different emails. And what happens is, and it is a little overwhelming, so I think that's a great point. I think we should go back and talk about that. But what happens is that it does become something that is, you don't spend a lot of time on it, but I do go in and just actually go into my trails and see what are new. I just log in and go see what's new and go to my requests and go to my, so it's, I don't pay attention to those emails anymore at all, you're right. Because it's just something that's of a daily thing that I do now.
Well, and each user can go on and customize their notifications, so you can turn them all off, so you don't get those emails. So you can go directly into Trails and see what requests are new. Do I know any answers to these questions? Or go and see what trails have been created recently. Is this something that I'm interested in? Should I follow this trail and learn about this topic?
So it's a feature that can be turned off for the entire company. So yes.
Those notifications, is it like alerts in SharePoint? I mean, is that a comparable?
It reminds me of, I like the idea of a portal. And at one point I took a course with University of Phoenix where I did not get any notification, but I went to go visit the portal at any time that I wanted to see what other people had posted from Germany and things like that. So it did keep my interest to go learn from those people. So I didn't have a notification. So I see what you're saying. You turn off those,
Right.
and it's up to me to manage my trail.
Right.
Where I either submit a request or check and see there's requests that I can contribute to, correct?
Right.
You can also customize it around, yes, notify me if there's something that is in some interest that I've subscribed to, or you can turn that off, or you can say, notify me if somebody in my community creates a request. And so
So it could be
you can turn it off,
specific?
or you can customize it.
Okay, customize as well.
All of Facebook a little bit.
And could you customize it even more to where it says, okay, send me a digest. I think of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, very much a living community, and I love it because I can request the weekly digest, and I get every email notification there, because you want to everyone subscribe
It's
to
like
it.
next on our development list.
And then I think about, the LMS that I use, and that LMS has a community, a learning community as well. But as soon as I pop in a question or respond to a question, there's no way that I can be able to modify how many emails I get based on that one particular question. Every single response is sent to me, and then I get inundated with the 20,000 emails.
It's like if somebody sends you a message on Facebook to 36 people and then everybody's responding, I can and cannot come, and you're like, why am I getting all these? Exactly. We can definitely do that. And I think, because I'm such a developer, messaging might work. We'll go look into that for sure. So, if you have, I put those cards on the table, ones, if you want to, you can email me at either, there's hello@trails.by, and I have cards for my actual HBT development, it's just hannah@hbtdevelopment.com. It's just as simple. So, but if you want to write down a question or your email, then I can respond to you personally about something. But if you want to come up really quickly before you all leave and let Tyler kind of show you how it works, it's very vibrant, it's very visually pleasing, and also just to touch on that, what researchers show on how to get employees engaged is because they can do some content creating and they can be involved in it, but it is so visually pleasing that you want to just keep looking through it.
So what do you recommend? Everybody go up there, or?
Well, if everybody wants to see it, and you're not all like looking to get out of here right away, then I could even pull it up on this computer so we don't have to crowd around.
Okay.
That sounds
All right, Jerry.
So if you put this in a category,
Yes.
would you call this more of a knowledge management system?
I was just thinking that.
It could
You
be.
read my
It's that, that's part of it.
Have you looked at the stuff, that WorldLink experience with knowledge management?
And that's the category you've been looking for a long time, right?
Is everything you post public, or do you make some things private only to a certain group or a certain person? Because there's like a whole video thing where you want somebody to be able to approve the content. If I want to have a conversation with just her, or just share her information and not everybody else see it? Is that possible?
Right now, we are working on groups, and so this goes back to was saying that would be unpublished and all that. And so we're working on groups right now so that multiple users can be a part of the same group. And if that's the case, then you would have a trail that is unpublished. Everyone, whenever they are part of that group, they can just edit the trail and then see those videos, and then go on and watch them. And you can view a trail if it's unpublished and it's yours. And once the groups come in place, then once you're part of that group, then yeah, you can do that. And no one can see your content library either. Your content library is kind of all the content that you've ever uploaded or dealt with personally on your Trails account. And so no one can see that. You upload a video there, then...
And since it's web-based, is anything that you upload, do we still own it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's not.
Right, yes, yes.
Free for all?
It's not it's your intellectual property.
And so just really quickly too, before Howard starts, because we're still in our development, I mean, what we're looking for is pilot programs. And we would do is we would come in and we would come up and come for a couple of days and help get it set up, and we do the training, and we essentially are looking for people to sort of take it on and see, who we can do it with. We've got some folks that we're about to roll out to, which are doing super users, and they're starting with their 30 people, one's a 50-person learning and development team, and then in 90 days they're going to roll out to the management team and just sort of go that way. So we've got, even when it comes to how we use it or people that want to use it, we've got room to play with that as well.
And what is the largest organization that you've implemented this with, size-wise?
We have two that we're about to implement.
How many employees do they have?
One is 5,000 and one is, I think, 500.
And like Tana said, we use it internally too. We're about a company of 30 people. We use it very effectively with sharing what we know, especially because we're a startup kind of world. We're always learning and always creating, so we've found it really useful with internal.
All right, so this is the homepage. I'm just going to go over things really quickly, sort of crunch on time. So, as Tana mentioned, you got this purple one here. This is because Nuco Marketing made this trail. I just made these images to represent formal trails and informal trails. Again, these are some formal ones. These are for HR and training, like she said, and these are some informal ones. And you can either play the trail or you can click on it. And this is what we call the pop-up trail overview. And this is 2 links about health. You got your description here. And then you got your user information here. You can hover over. Typically, it doesn't take this long to load.
If it's flash, it looks like it's flash-based.
It is not flash-based. Yeah, we don't. I am not a Flash guy. I disagree with it because of its inability to move across platforms. And so I just built this trail. Let's see if that one is. What's that?
Well, at least
What's?
This is what happens when you change the plan last minute.
There it is, perfectly. Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out the presentation as well as I'm going to send out the demo information. And you can go in, and I'll kind of be going in as the same user and play it around with it and see what you think. There's also, started this, we have trails out there for the mass market, so lots of not professional things. I mean, there's Best Bands in Austin, and there's restaurants, and there's how to put on makeup. Anything you want to learn about, but you can go out right now to trails.by and you can go take a tour of us that way.
And so
I did that one. Yeah, I still have
this is the trail overview. Here are the tags she's talking about, or the interests. You can subscribe to them if you want to. You can click on these nodes, and this thing pops up here. And the resolution on this computer is really small right now because of the way this is all connected. Typically, it wouldn't be this large. And you can still be able to see the trail at the same time. But either way, you can still move this around. And you'll see that this node that I'm on right here, social media tips. And that's this slide right here. And we can go next, or let's see the next node of the trail. And so on and so forth. This one's supposed to be a YouTube video. And let's say we want to start from the second node.
And this is still viewing it from the trail map view. This we haven't actually started the trail yet. It looks different when you start the trail.
And now this is starting. This is walking the trail or consuming the trail, as we call it. And
I'm sorry.
there is some internet
My
hiccups
computer
here.
is
There we go.
leaky.
All right.
Walking the trail is
Yeah.
So you can password protected trade?
This one here looks like, oh, I see what's going on here. What's the law when everything goes wrong? It's supposed to. So we just moved this over to a new server, a faster server
So, I mean,
called.
like, so it would say, waterloader.trails.by. And
Oh.
it would be behind your firewall, it would be protected. Some companies have users that won't actually go in and create a profile and do that, but they can still, anybody can still view a trail without being logged in as a user, but they still have to be behind your firewall, so they have to have that access to it.
Right. So as I was mentioning, the reason this login page is here is we just moved over to a much faster server, and it was on demo. Now we're on Nuco. So demo is asking us for a password because it's on a different server. And so where is demo.trails?
That's Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
Horrible.
But it does work over here. I mean,
Everything that's technological,
I know.
will guarantee to have problems when you're doing a presentation.
It does work over here on this machine.
All right. So this is walking a trail. When I made this 1 second ago. This is Wikipedia, as you can see, but we're still in trails. And then you can pull up the trail map and see the 3 nodes here, hover over them, see what they are, see we're on health already. The next one we go to is the medical one, and so it took us to that. As you see when I click this button, there we go. So we're on medical classification. You can just kind of keep going through them. If you need to go up fast speed, it'll catch up to you. Go to the node you're looking for. See how these notes get updated on the side here? That's the note for the trail that she was the note for the node. This is where you describe.
Cite the reference or give specific instructions or say why you want them.
Absolutely. So I don't like this trail, but go back to the home page here, and let's just quickly show you the editor. Let's go to this one, and this one was made by Nuco Training, and let's say we're an average user, even though right now I'm logging as Nuco HR. And so you can clone the trail, and that means, as Tana mentioned briefly, that you can copy the trail and then edit it. So you're not actually editing that specific that individual trail. You can improve upon it or delete things. It's really just up to you. This is a complicated one. You've got colors here that represent different things.
By topic?
Yeah, different colors, different topics. That's really up to you. And you can just drag these around. Delete this connection. You build a new connection.
Yeah, editing and building a trail is super easy. And it tells you, pops up on the side, there's no you're looking at, just to make sure that you're deleting the right one or moving the right one.
So is this software per organization or you have to buy per user license?
I mean, right now we're doing it per user per month.
I'm sorry?
We're doing it, right now we say per user per month.
Per user per month.
So you got, and then so it's, a fee for regular user, a fee for the admins. We're a startup, so I mean, it can be discussed. We can do what seems to be done.
And so title, description go in here, save it, and then notice it's not published yet. So I can hide this, bring this over here, and I don't want to publish it yet, but I can still walk down it as the owner of this trail and just make sure everything works fine. And again, Murphy's Law, it's incredible how fast it is now. We're just blown away right now, not very reflective of that. So that's pretty much it. The 3 main things there are your edit, your consume, or walking a trail, and then browsing the trail.
Tyler, do you want to show them the communities?
The community?
Oh yeah, just some communities real quickly.
Okay.
So you can understand, there's individuals, there's business units.
Communities? Oh, you see all community. I see what you're saying. Go to community. All right. These are my friends, my people that are my community's activity. It's loaded.
Let's see how many.
It's loaded. And so this is everyone part of this trail.
You have descriptions of what, who they are, about themselves, so you can see, you can subscribe to them right there to your community. By business unit, we have by individual employee, their roles.
Yeah, and this is where you would see everyone that's part of the trails, your trails company in here.
Business units.
Sorry?
But for training purposes, and for HR purposes, doing it by the business unit is pretty key.
Yeah.
And then you, in your team, you have one person with the administrator.
You're not building any content within here, right? You're building your content wherever it's at, and you're just importing it.
Into a content library?
Yes, unless it's an image or a video, in which case we can house those on our servers. It's a website, of course, we're not going to copy the website contents and host it. Yeah, so
So you're
it's,
just pointing back to it.
right.
But what if it's an Excel file? Then it goes in
You can,
the software.
We an API, and we can store documents in our servers if it's complicated like PDF or something. And there's APIs that we tie into to utilize and be able to display the content.
You better answer that, Aaron.
oh, no, I was just gonna say you can upload, yes, you can upload Excel files that you can also then download to be quite
Yes.
simple. Yes.
I'm like too technical and you're like, yes, I agree with that. All right.
Yes, no, and she's still trying
Yeah, so we, so I mean, that's it. If anybody can stay after, we can get a little better version of it over here. I said I'll be out the presentation and just some information so you can get onto the demo, and thank you for having us.
All right, well, thank you. And you did a fantastic job. Didn't you do a good job? You did great about that.